Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Ask the Expert, a daily series from 8:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. to help small businesses. If you have any questions, please do leave them in the comments below or use the hashtag QBATE on Twitter. If you need any more advice, please do join the official Interact QuickBooks SMB community group on Facebook, where accountants and experts are on hand 24/7. I'm so excited today to be hosting my 8th show. For those who have followed my last few shows, thank you so much for returning, and those joining me for the first time, welcome. I hope this will help you out. A little bit of background about me. So I am the Managing Director of Majors Accounts. In terms of my qualifications and background, I am a qualified chartered certified accountant. I have a couple of masters, one in accounting and finance and one in international banking and finance law. And I have recently completed a postgraduate diploma from the University of Oxford in strategic finance. I think it's safe to say now my studies are done. That enough, I think. I am a member of the QuickBooks Accountants Council also, and a member of ACCA's UK Practitioner Network panel and ACCA's SME Global Forum. So I've been working in practice now for 13 years alongside my studies, which has really helped to ensure that I'm able to enhance my studies, backed with experience from small practice, where you really get to see everything, how business works, how they function, their pain points, investigating ways of finding solutions for problems and helping them grow or become more profitable, depending on, whatever the business needs. So who are Majors Accounts? We are a small family-run accountancy practice in Southeast London. We are providing support to businesses in the SME space, so mainly owner-managed, self-employed businesses or limited companies, and they are in a wide range of industries and sectors. Some of them are, for example, construction, hospitality, so restaurants and bars, financial services, IT, hairdressers, barbers, nurseries, to name a few. And since becoming managing director, I've spearheaded and implemented a digitalisation strategy within the office, with the idea of becoming a paperless office. Proud to say that we are now there. There is no more paper in the office, and we're slowly going to get rid of our printers too, which is a huge step for us accountants. Proud to say that we are a QuickBooks online only practice, so we've become somewhat experts in this area, and everything can be done now online, all of our work, with an array of really amazing apps which all feed into QuickBooks to create an elevated experience, using the latest cutting edge technology, not just for our team, but also for our clients, to ensure that we're ahead of the game and helping them out at the same time. So at the moment, clients don't need to come to the office to see us if they don't want to. There's a convenience and time saving there, because obviously everything is online, and it really allows for our national and hopefully soon to be global reach. So we have clients from Ireland all the way down to the Isle of Wight, and the idea is to bring the client accountant relationship closer. We are a family run practice, so treating clients and the team like family is one of our core values, which we believe helps to build a really excellent rapport, and it gives a more personalized service, and coupled with the expertise, from years of experience. And all of this has been, as I mentioned, with technology, is to bring us closer, so we can become the virtual finance directors for our clients who, as I said, they're owner managed businesses, so they wear all hats of the business. They don't have time to be necessarily considering all finances. That's what we're here for. We can step in and help out with whatever they need. Now, our efforts with this change haven't gone unrecognised. Majors Accounts have been nominated for the last 2 years in a row for Independent Firm of the Year Greater London by the British Accountancy Awards. I myself have been nominated by 3 for 3 awards by the Women in Accounting and Finance 2020 Awards, which will take place later this year. We'll wait to see if they're going to happen, but fingers crossed. And we've also been featured in the Parliamentary Review in 2017, showcasing best practice in our sector. So COVID-19 is an issue, at the forefront of everybody's mind at the moment, obviously not just health-wise, but businesses which have been affected massively, and therefore families, their livelihoods have been affected. Many businesses have had to close. They're not generating income. No one really knows what is happening. Day by day things are changing, and we don't know how long this will last. And not many have planned for this effectively. I mean, I'm not sure how you can plan for a global pandemic, especially one that seems to be, dragging on for this long as well. But many businesses, some of the main issues for this is that they didn't have adequate cash reserves to kind of keep afloat and keep going. And many businesses don't know if they're going to have a business to go back to once everything goes back to normal. And obviously the UK economy has been hit massively by this, and in this time businesses have had to think of ways of pivoting in order to survive. Some have done this well, some have not been sure how to. Obviously the government has introduced a number of different schemes out there to try and assist somewhat with this pandemic for businesses and businesses' employees. So some of the most recent kind of schemes out there at the moment are mainly, so for the hospitality sector, the Eat Out to Help Out discount. So for the month of August, so that was from the 3rd to the end of August, meals eaten at any participating business on Mondays, Tuesdays and Wednesdays are 50% off, up to a maximum of £10 per head, including children. The scheme has been introduced with the idea to increase trade and customers coming through the door. And to access the discount, businesses would have needed to register, or will need to register to participate, and can do so through a website which opened on the 13th of July. In order for your business to claim the money back, you can do this weekly, and funds are transferred into your business bank account within 5 working days. The first date applications can be made will be on the 7th of August, and the service closes on the 30th of September. Now, when I say the 30th of September, that's to claim the money back. So a lot of people are getting confused whether the scheme closes on the 30th of August or September. So just to clarify that. And also please note that any money received from the scheme will be treated as taxable income, with VAT payable on the full amount of your customer's bill. So conditions to the scheme. It can be used as many times as you like. You cannot, unfortunately, claim a discount on alcoholic drinks or service charges, and you cannot be an establishment that only offers takeaway food or drink. It's also not applicable for catering services for private functions, hotels that provide room service only, or dining services such as packaged dinner cruises, although I don't imagine many of those happening at the moment. And also it's not for mobile food vans or trailers. So you should wait until you're registered before you offer discounts to your customers, and you cannot offer discounts, well, you could not have offered discounts before the 3rd of August, and you need to wait at least 7 days after you register for the scheme to make a claim. So some of the records that you must keep are total number of people who have used the scheme in your establishment, total value of transactions under the scheme, and total discounts that you have given. Another really welcomed scheme has been the VAT reduction, so VAT on food, accommodation and attractions, for example, eat-in, takeaway in restaurants, cafes, pubs, cinemas, theme parks and zoos, have been reduced from 20% to 5% from the 15th of July till the 12th of January next year. And there is an option there whether you want to pass on that saving to the customer with the view to hopefully bringing more trade in, as your prices will be lower, or you could keep your prices the same and you'll end up essentially paying less VAT to help with your cash flow slightly. Stamp duty changes. So the stamp duty threshold has increased from 125,000 to 500,000 until the 31st of March 2021, with the idea of trying to boost the property market. If you're buying a second home, you will still be liable to pay the 3% for properties up to 500,000. Now, there is one other thing that kind of has not being focused on as much due to coronavirus, and that's MTD. So Making Tax Digital is a scheme that was introduced a few years ago, which required all VAT registered businesses above the threshold to submit their VAT returns using an MTD compliant software. Now, HMRC have identified roughly 160,000 or so businesses which have not complied with this since. And recently, a few weeks ago, they sent out letters to all of these businesses, which they identified did not register on time. And they are now focusing on rolling this out to other taxes as well as VAT, so income tax, for example. So sooner or later, everything will fall under the scope of MTD. And you have to really think, are you ready for this? Have you transitioned to a software which can do this, make sure you're compliant and help run your business? Or are you only looking to ensure that you are compliant only? There are cloud apps and technologies nowadays which can help to really advance your business and ensure that you are working at the same pace as everybody else, and this is the future. So are you future-proofing your business or not? So I am going to be taking questions now as I see they're coming in. We have a question from Derek from Twitter who says, do you know what records I need to keep as a restaurant for the Eat Out to Help Out scheme? Great question. The scheme obviously is there to help out, but you need to make sure that your records are accurate in case of an inquiry, which could happen, say, from now to 6 years' time. We have created templates for our clients, some simple sheets which show the, for example, table number, the total bill, the amount of people that were dining on that table, and the amount of discounts that were given. So you'll be able to see at any point if in an inquiry you can show your reasoning behind giving £10 or slightly less, maybe depending on the bill. So that's what we've created for our clients. It's quite simple to do. If you speak to your accountant, they may be able to provide something simple like this to you. Or I have had some clients actually setting this up within their till as a separate category, and you can kind of show, I believe you can rename these things on the tills, and they show the name of the scheme and it's discounted from the bill. So when you send that to your accountant, they'll be able to see exactly how much was discounted, and that's on the bill itself as well. So we have a question from Lisbeth from Twitter who says, I run a little beauty salon and I'm devastated by the news that we can't reopen. Do you know if there will be any financial support? So the announcement last week was a shock, I think, to many people. Not many people were expecting for this to be stopped. We thought we were, starting to come out of lockdown and slowly start, coming back to normality. Unfortunately, there aren't any kind of schemes or anything like that available in terms of grants. The only kind of thing that could help you at the moment, I don't know whether you've actually got it yet or not, is the bounce back loans. Obviously, you have to think about, before getting the loan, whether you'll be able to repay it in the future or not. But you do have that 12-month holiday. So within 12 months, you're not repaying anything, and you can kind of decide, do you need to use this money? If not, you can just leave it there. And if in 12 months' time you found out that actually you can cope without it, you just pay it back to the bank and you'll have no fees. Obviously, the furlough scheme is something that will help you out as well. If you have any employees, just to ease some of that burden, and the business rates, of course, you won't have to pay either. The other expenses I guess you would have are, for example, rent. I don't know if you're able to kind of speak to your landlord to renegotiate rent or reduce it and pay the balance and the lump sum at the end of the year, because hopefully by December we'll be starting to come back to some sort of normality. But they're kind of a few things that you could do to try and mitigate some of the expenses that you have. We have a question from Natalie from Facebook, who says, "Good morning, your background and what you've achieved is very impressive. I've been working as an accountant for 3 years and would love to be able to be a managing director one day. Do you have any advice on how to get where you are?" Thank you so much. It's been a journey of hard work. Really, I think one of the main things is making sure that you've got a goal in mind. How you get there, life will work things out itself, but you know where you want to get to, and just really focus on that goal and put your head down, work hard. At work, I'm not sure kind of your role as an accountant, but whatever you get given by your seniors, just accept it. Say, yes, I will do it. Sometimes it may seem like it's a bit unfair, you seem to be doing everything, but really, that's a great opportunity. I see it in a different way. It's not unfair, it's a great opportunity. Instead, you will get exposure to all sorts of different things, and that's the only way to learn, is on the ground, to do things yourself. And then within a few years, you'll look back and without realizing, your skill set will be so broad. So that's how I've done it. I'm sure that's not the only way to do it, but that's how I've found, with working hard, trying to get involved in as many things as possible. No matter how tired you get at some point, it's worth it in the end to reach that goal that you want. And in terms of learning, it's never going to stop anyway. So no matter how much experience you thought you've built up or how much knowledge you think you've built up, there's always more. So this kind of attitude and mentality will help you, go ahead and really do well, in my opinion anyway. We have a question from Johanna from Instagram, who says, "The reduced VAT rate, is that for hotels too? Is there anywhere I can see who is participating in this, or is it a requirement?" So it includes hotels if they have a restaurant as well. If they only provide room service, unfortunately, that's not included within the scheme. But if they do have an actual restaurant in the hotel, and that's kind of where you're ordering food from, then they can, as long as they are registered for the scheme. I'm not sure if there is actually a website which shows. I think that there was talk of being one. I haven't actually seen whether there is or not. But either way, asking the establishment, saying, "Are you registered for the Eat Out to Help Out scheme?" And a lot of restaurants are not necessarily kind of saying that we are registered, because they feel that there's been a split depending on how they feel about this scheme. Some people think it's a great idea to bring trade in. Some restaurants are not liking it so much because there's a lot of paperwork to keep. There's obviously liability to make sure that you're doing things correctly, and having to reduce that money, so the cash flow initially is a bit more difficult. You're not getting the money straight away, you're getting it about a week later or so. But just double check with them and ask them if they're registered or not. But it is a requirement to be registered to be able to get the discount. So we have a question from Clemens from Twitter, who says, "I started my own company a few months ago and I'm a bit confused by all the financial terms. What are digital records?" That's a great question, actually. So traditionally, you would have, or businesses would have, collated all of their physical receipts, bank statements, sales, whatever they had, and taken it in a paper bag to their accountants. I mean, I know that's what we used to do, and we'd process all of that manually on Excel or Sage or whatever software we were using at the time. But now HMRC, and when HMRC would do an investigation, they would kind of come down and say, "We're going to investigate for X period, whether it's a year, whether it's just a VAT quarter or whatever it may be. And they would sit down for half a day or a day, depending on how much paperwork they have to go through, and they would have kind of actually physically seen those records, and those records you had to keep for 7 years. You still do, but now HMRC are saying with an MTD compliant software, so that's why we moved to QuickBooks solely, is we have the ability now for clients to send us their records digitally. So whether that's taking a photo of a physical receipt, sending us the invoices by email possibly, sending us bank statements online, whether it's by email, or with QuickBooks we have the ability to actually download transactions with a bank feed directly from the bank into QuickBooks. So when we submit things now to HMRC, we can actually have all of these records attached to each transaction. And I believe where HMRC are going with this long term is that they will no longer need to come to the office or to your business to inspect the records. They can now do this, from their offices, which will save them time, and they will have a lot more. They'll have an opportunity to check a lot more because the computer will help out to do a lot of the checks, whereas before it was, depending on how long a human being can process transactions and how they can identify transactions which, could be of a nature which need to be checked. And obviously that way there are going to be a few transactions missed out. So this is the idea for digital records. So you're sending everything in literally digitally with a photo or an email, so it's not paper copy anymore, and it's attached to the software. We have a question from Edmondo from Facebook, who says, do you know if there's a minimum spend with ETOUT to help out? There isn't a minimum spend. There is a maximum of £10 or 50% of the bill, obviously if it's under that. So there isn't necessarily a minimum. As long as they're registered, the minimum will be the minimum of what you spend, essentially. We have a question from Zuri from Instagram, who says, for the job retention scheme, do I need to claim before or after I've processed payroll? So initially there were quite a few queries with this because nobody really knew how it was supposed to work out. So we've had conflicting kind of information from HMRC. Initially, they said that you should be processing the payroll and then claiming the same amount. But then you've also got people that say it's the other way around. But essentially, if it's the same amount, it's not really an issue as long as what you've claimed matches what's been paid out and so on, and what's been declared on the payroll. So it's not too much of an issue. With us, we are processing the claims first, and then straight after the claim is done, we're running the payroll which matches that claim too. But if we did it the other way around, it wouldn't be much of a difference at all anyway. We have a question from Arthur from Twitter, who says, if I'm using a catering company, can they quote me 20% VAT? I thought they would be on reduced VAT, but I was quoted 20%. Unfortunately, the catering companies are not included in the scheme, hence why they're quoting 20%. It's a bit of a blow, but unfortunately that's the reason why, because they're not they don't fall under that scheme. So we have a question from Wallace from Twitter, who says, with MTD as a business, do I need to authorize a tax agent to submit VAT returns on my behalf? So with MTD, you don't necessarily have to have an agent linked to your account. You can, as long as you've got your own your own software package, you can submit through the software yourself. Obviously, with an agent, there's that help of ensuring that your VAT is correct and so on. But if you're confident in doing it yourself, you can submit directly as long as you've got an account or a Gov UK account with HMRC, and that's registered on your software. So QuickBooks, for example, has that dedicated area where you put your credentials in, you'll prepare your VAT and then submit it directly to HMRC. We have a question from Gerard from Facebook, who says, I started my limited company almost 2 years ago, but due to personal reasons, I can't continue. Do you know if it's easy to sell a limited company, or is the best option to close it down? So this depends on kind of how the limited company has performed over the last couple of years. If you've built it up to be a profitable business, or a sizable business with a customer base ready, and contacts possibly with suppliers, depending on which business that you have, this could be attractive to somebody who may be able to pick it up and can see potential in growing it. There are obviously people out there that can help with selling businesses, but it's probably worth speaking to them, just kind of telling them more about your business and getting an idea of whether it would be worth something to somebody or not. It could very well, be worth quite a bit of money to some people. If not, then obviously closing it down is super simple. But if you're able to get an investment or get that money back out for the time that you've invested in it, why not give it a go and speak to someone just to see whether it's worth something or not. We have a question from Charon from Instagram, who says, I'm on flexible furlough and I am wondering if I can change at any point. So if by change you mean you can come back to work, then of course fully, or if you're planning to go back on full furlough because there is no work available, your employer decided, let's try this out, let's open the business, bring you back to work, and see whether we can afford to keep you and pay themselves. If that's not the case and you need to go back on furlough, you can. That's the whole idea with flexible furlough, to try and incentivize people to come back to work if they can. So I hope that helped. Unfortunately, we're running out of time. So if you do have any questions, please do get in touch with QuickBooks support team on Facebook, or you can get in touch with myself through all of our social media channels on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn. You can also contact us directly through our website by filling out a contact form, and we also have on our website a dedicated news section which is updated regularly as and when announcements are made from the government, so please do check that out. So coming up on Ask the Expert tomorrow is Tom Akins, who is one of the UK's most acclaimed and inspirational British chefs. He is also a regular guest on Great British Menu as a judge and Great British Bake Off's The Extra Slice. Tom's latest addition to his portfolio is Muse, which is a cosy 25-seater renovated Muse house in Belgravia. So thank you so much for tuning in. It's been a lot of fun to answer all of your questions on my latest show. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow and listen to Tom, and I wish you all a wonderful rest of the day.